You know, if you grew up in the 70s and 80s, I bet you can remember a few things. I bet you remember growing up in a world without notifications, and where the only thing that ringed or buzzed was when someone came knocking at your door. If you remember, we drank from garden hoses in the front yard because we didn't know any better and didn't think twice about it. Our bicycles were our freedom. If you wanted to see your friends, you just jumped on and you rode over to their house, and if they were there, great. If they weren't, you just kept on riding. You know, summer wasn't measured in weeks back then. It was measured in scraped knees and fireflies caught and put in a glass jar, and by the number of locust sheds you could find on a tree. It was measured by the sound of a baseball hitting a leather glove, and it was measured by street lights when they popped on, letting us know it was time to come home. You know, if you think back about it, we probably climbed a lot of trees we shouldn't have. We built forts that felt like castles, and there were times I think we probably felt we were invincible. Jumping off of houses onto mattresses and crazy little things that guys do. You know, the music back then wasn't streamed like it is now. You know, it was earned. You waited by the radio hoping that your DJ would play your favorite song, and you were ready to hit record right when it happened and just prayed that he wouldn't talk over the ending. You know, Saturday mornings belonged to cereal and cartoons, and Friday nights belonged to the skating rink or the movie theater. And it seemed like every soundtrack back then to the movies became, part of our whole story. You know, families gathered around one table and not around separate screens. Grandparents weren't just voices on a phone anymore. They were, what I call front porch storytellers. You know, neighbors knew your name, and chances are they probably knew your parents too. Our cars weren't perfect, especially our first ones, but neither were we. But somehow those old rusted out pickups, the late night drives, parking with your girlfriend on dirt roads, and those forbidden and those first loves, they became the memories that never quite faded. You know, today, our hair has a little more gray. Our kids have kids of their own, and the neighborhoods may have changed a little, and the music is older. But every time one of those old songs comes on, for just a few minutes, you're 12 years old again. Chances are you're running barefoot, laughing until dark, and kind of living in a world that just moved a little bit slower. You know, I don't think we knew it then, but we were living in what I call the good old days. We didn't realize it because I think we were just kids, and maybe that's what made it so good. So if you grew up in the 70s and the 80s, thanks for the memories. Think about it and think about what you miss most. Y'all have a good night. See ya.